Hello, dear friends. I'm Yuri Tyachenko, candidate of veterinary sciences, and in this video podcast, we'll be looking at a very important question. Today, I want to draw your attention to why the claim that commercial pet food is always safer and better than natural feeding is not just wrong, but potentially dangerous. Why is this question so important? Because everyone who profits from the commercial pet food industry, which is a sector with multi-billion-dollar turnovers, tries in every possible way to justify that natural food is worse than commercial food. I'm not a staunch opponent of dry food. There are different situations. Sometimes it's simply impossible to do without it. But to claim that feeding dogs and cats commercial food is much better than natural food, I think that's just going too far. In today's video, I want to draw your attention to how advertising creates a false sense of confidence and what the facts actually say. So, let's get started. Let's go through everything step by step. Myth number 1. There's a claim that all commercial pet foods undergo strict quality control, and therefore they are safe. The reality is that certification does not always protect against mistakes, contamination, or dishonesty. A commercial pet food package might say certified, but certification does not guarantee the absence of contaminants. Inspections are often random, not mandatory for every batch. The responsibility for safety lies with the manufacturer, not the regulatory authority. Here are the facts. In 2007, more than 8,500 deaths of dogs and cats were linked to commercial pet foods contaminated with melamine. This was the largest pet food recall in U.S. history. In 2021, more than 300 cases of feline panleukopenia linked to diets were reported in the UK. The investigation found that the pet foods were deficient in B vitamins and taurine. Myth number 2. Manufacturers claim that commercial pet food contains only high-quality, safe ingredients. But the reality is that many pet foods use cheap byproducts, hydrolysate, plant proteins, and meat and bone meal. On the packaging, you might see chicken or beef, but in reality, this could mean there are chicken feathers, beaks, bone hydrolysates, plant proteins like soy meal and corn instead of animal proteins, and low digestibility meat and bone meal. And here are the facts. In 2014, a study conducted in Hong Kong found that 8 out of 20 tested pet foods contained ingredients not listed on the packaging, including meat from other animal species. In 2018, there was a scandal involving pet food from a very well-known brand. In one of the batches, the level of vitamin D was 70 times higher than normal, which led to poisoning and the deaths of dozens of animals. Myth number 3. That allergies and intolerances only occur with natural food. The reality is that commercial pet foods often cause skin and stomach reactions, especially in sensitive animals. Pet foods can contain hidden allergens, residual antibiotics or toxins, flavor enhancers, artificial flavors, and colorings. Facts. And here are the facts. According to studies conducted in Germany, up to 20% of dog and cat owners report gastrointestinal or skin disorders when feeding their pets commercial pet food. For example, the journal Veterinary Dermatology published the following in 2019. About 45% of food allergies in dogs are linked to commercial pet foods, mainly to chicken, beef, and dairy products, which are present even in hypoallergenic formulas. Myth number 4. This is one of the most common myths, that supposedly everything in veterinary diets is calculated down to the milligram. The reality is that even veterinary diets can contain unsafe levels of certain substances or have incorrect formulations. Despite being expensive and supposedly medically precise, they use the same hydrolysates and meat and bone meal. There are mistakes in balancing. Not all formulas undergo clinical trials. Facts. Here are the facts. In 2019, Poland recorded an increase in cases of hypercalcemia in puppies that were fed veterinary diets with an incorrect calcium phosphorus formula. Source: Polish Veterinary Association. And in the United States in 2020, more than 20 batches of dry food were recalled due to inaccuracies in the composition, confirmed by FDA analyses. And this was also a very well-known manufacturer. Myth 5. The claim that natural feeding is dangerous and unbalanced. The reality is that with the right approach, a natural diet can actually be safer than any packaged food. A homemade diet, created according to the recommendations of highly respected organizations in the field of animal nutrition, such as the NRC, FEDIAF, and SAVO, allows you to eliminate allergens, ensures control over product quality, and can be adapted to the specific animal. Effects. In 2017, the journal Physiology of Animals and Nutrition published a review of 3 studies, which found that properly selected natural diets are not inferior in nutrients to commercial feeds, and the rate of complications when using them is lower. A study by Lisa Freeman's group at Tufts University, near Boston, showed that homemade diets for kidney failure prolong the lives of cats just as much as commercial diets, given the same conditions. Myth 6. This myth is also very widespread. Many people claim that it's impossible to balance a natural diet without a laboratory. The reality is that modern balancing programs and ready-made formulas make homemade feeding accessible and safe. Nowadays, pet owners have access to recipe calculation programs and online consultations with veterinary nutritionists. The internet is your friend. The facts on this matter are that the American Association of Home Dietitians has acknowledged that natural diets, formulated according to modern protocols, can be used even for chronic diseases, including diabetes, urolithiasis, and obesity. In 2023, a British clinic conducted a study on 50 dogs fed a natural diet. After 6 months, 88 dog owners reported improvements in digestion, skin, and behavior with 0 complications. I take my hat off to these organizations that published this truth. It means the pet food manufacturers couldn't buy them off. Myth 7. The manufacturer will always tell the truth about the ingredients. Personally, for me, this is the most unpleasant claim, and now I'll tell you why that is. The reality is that the law doesn't require all ingredients to be disclosed, and the wording is often misleading. For example, if the package says meat and byproducts, that could mean not just muscle meat, but also cartilage, trachea, lungs. If it says with beef flavor, that means the product might not contain any beef meat at all. The package might say that the food is complete and balanced, but that absolutely does not guarantee the bioavailability of all the nutrients. In other words, these nutrients might simply not be absorbed, even though the food technically contains enough according to the standards. And here are the facts. In 2021, an Australian study found that popular pet foods contain hidden sources of plant proteins. Meanwhile, the packaging only lists meat as an ingredient. In 2016, in the US, Petco, one of the largest pet store chains, was fined for using the grain-free label on food that actually contained traces of grains. So, to sum up what we've discussed, I'd like to say that commercial pet food isn't evil, but it's not a cure-all either. They can be convenient, yes, balanced, and even beneficial if we're talking about high-quality brands. However, the claim that commercial pet food is always safer isn't backed by anything, and as we've seen, is often disproven in practice. If you value convenience and versatility, then commercial pet food might be the right choice for you. But if you prefer control, freshness, and a personalized approach, then a homemade diet could be the perfect alternative. The main thing is not to blindly trust dishonest advertising. Or, to put it more accurately, you shouldn't believe bold and deceitful advertising. You should be guided by facts, common sense, and your own observations of your pet. Commercial pet food can be a part of your pet's diet, but it shouldn't be your only choice just because it's convenient or certified. True care means thinking critically, being able to analyze ingredients, and understanding your pet's needs. Well, that's all for now. All the best to you. Wishing good health to you and your beloved pets. Subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and see you next time.